Well, hello. I'm Pandi of Pandi's Hair Candy and More. And judging by the thumbnail, you guys already know what it is. Greenleaf, Season 5, Episode 6, The Sixth Day. Can we get into it? You all, for the most part, my channel is based on hair, wellness, beauty, wigs, weaves, and natural hair care. However, I offer a wide variety of content over here, and that includes TV show reviews, movie reviews, and product reviews. So again, without further ado, we're going to jump right into this recap and review of Greenleaf Season 5, Episode 6, entitled The Sixth Day. Okay? On the OWN network. If you did not do so on your way in, please, before you head out, make sure you blow dry on that like button for your girl. I greatly appreciate it, and thank you in advance for taking a moment to stop by and visit my channel. If you really enjoy this commentary, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and double tap on that notification bell so that you are notified each and every time new content is added to the channel. Alright? Now, tonight's episode began with us seeing Bishop on the phone in a heated conversation with the FBI about Rochelle. He was pretty hot about it. He's not understanding how in the world it is that Rochelle's just freely roaming around the streets when basically he feels like, her and her brother Basie once tried to threaten his life before. He has zero understanding of that. Now, while he's on the phone with the feds, Lady Mae is in the background still nagging him about going to this doctor appointment and getting a physical. Now, Grace comes downstairs at that moment, and she is also curious about who Bishop is on the phone with. And Lady Mae is trying to fill her in, but she's also still trying to reiterate to Gigi, can you please make sure that he gets to his physical? And Bishop is like, just let it go, Mae. Lady Mae then, like I said, she tries to solicit Gigi to help make sure that he goes to the appointment because she's preparing to meet with Tara James. Now, both Bishop and Gigi are like, what in the world are you meeting with her for? And she tells them that she just wants to meet to assure her that she had no idea that Rochelle had any plans to resurface. Now, Bishop ain't buying that. He feels like it was all a scam by the skanks, both Rochelle and Basie, to take him and his family down. And Lady Mae is so gone off her own Kool-Aid and the whole new beginnings thing that she believes the girl is innocent. Outside of the siblings, that she's, free and clear and she had nothing to do with it. Bishop is not buying it, okay? He tells Mae, you and Tara James can sit here and sift through the past all you want, but he's got work to do to prepare for his future. Now, Bishop then tells Grace and Lady Mae that he's heading to the club. Turns out he has an appointment already lined up with the city building inspectors to come out and do whatever it is they need to do to go ahead and get things moving. Because again, the old club that Lady Mae's sister, who was played by Oprah, I cannot remember her name. But anyway, her old club, they are planning on turning into their new church. Now, as Bishop is heading out, Gigi's cell phone rings. And it's Darius. Now, she's like, where are you at? Because she's a little bit stunned because he's calling from a new number that she obviously doesn't recognize. And when Darius tells her, yeah, it's a new phone number because while I was in Vegas, my hotel was broken into. And my phone and my laptop was stolen. Now, he's starting to come to the realization that Bob Whitmore definitely does not want this story whatever the story is about Edenvale lending, to get out. He then asks her if she still have the emails that he sent to her previously. So she goes back upstairs to retrieve them from her laptop to forward them to him, and bloop, just like that, the files began to be deleted from her device one by one, y'all, right before her very eyes as she was on the phone with him. So this thing is starting to get deep. Next, we see Charity approaching the gate. Looks like she's preparing to leave the Greenleaf grounds when she comes across Phil's daddy, Yusef Shabazz himself. He is standing at the gate looking all militant, and she gets out of the car like, can I help you? And he hits her with the, I'm actually here to help you. Now, meanwhile, back inside, Jacob and Kerissa are preparing to take their son Winky in to sit down with a therapist. Someone to help them break the news of their pending divorce and separation. And as usual, Kerissa is basically dictating to Jason the way that she wants the meeting to flow. And, she reiterates that this is basically, it's not arbitration. They're just going to be giving him the news of their pending separation, nothing more. So, don't try to talk custody at this meeting, because I do not want for us to argue or fight in his presence. Now, Jacob, of course, tells her that he's in agreement with that and he doesn't anticipate fighting, nor does he want to. But he definitely feels like he should have shared custody. She tells him point blank range, he's not getting it. Next, we see Charity, and she's introducing Grace to Yusef Shabazz, Phil's daddy. He tells her he's only willing to talk to Darius off the record. Next, we see Zora, and she's doing her usual thing, isolating herself as usual, and in walks Sophia. Now, she asked Sophia to help her do something with the camera. She said that she was working on her college application, and, she definitely had no intention on sticking around, especially since her parents are now divorcing. So when she steps out of the room, something pings on the phone, and it's an alert telling her something about her flight. So Sophia, being her usual nosy self, is like, Zora, what is this? This is something about a flight. Are you taking a flight somewhere? And she tells her, yeah, I'm planning on going to school in New York. I'm getting away from here, basically starting over fresh. I'm grown. There's no reason for me to stay, especially since my parents are divorcing. Next, we see Darius, Charity, Gigi, and Shabazz meet up. Apparently, when Darius was in Vegas, he found a whole lot of information on shady dealings with escrow accounts and real estate deals, and they pretty much targeted poor black people back in the day. Now, Shabazz explains that Phil's mom was the face of the whole scam. She was the black woman who went door to door and, put the black people at ease and convinced the poor black people to basically sign over their properties, implying that it was a faith-based, black-owned organization when all along it was Bill Whitmore. Or Bob Whitmore, I believe his name is. Can we say gentrification? Okay. Now, he tells them that if they can come up with one person who will collaborate his account, he will then and only then confirm. Otherwise, he's strictly off the record. Now, at this point, we can tell that Charity definitely still have strong feelings for Phil, because Charity takes a moment to also ask him to please have a conversation with Phil and explain the situation to him, because he will not believe it coming from her. Now, as they all step outside to park, Darius says to Gigi that he wants to resume talks about their future once they get to the bottom of all this mess. He then leans in and kisses Gigi before they part their ways. Next, we see Tara, and she's at the house meeting with Lady Mae. She's basically explaining to Lady Mae that she thought that Rochelle was still in Mexico. She tells Lady Mae that she had no idea of her plans to resurface, but after all, that's still her sister. So, because Lady Mae was kind of checking her like, well, why did you even call her in the first place after your first initial meeting with Jacob? And she was like, just letting her know that she felt like, as her sister, and with her being so volatile, she still had every right to kind of know what was going on. So, you know, Tara still has her eyes set on the house. She starts talking about how after being there and seeing it, she can see how it could be a blessing to so many people, blah, blah, blah. So she's definitely still got her eyes on the house. Next, we see Sophia approaching Jacob and Kerissa. She walks in on them and says she asked Marisol to let her know when they got back. She basically went in there to go snitch on Zora about her plans to bounce and run off to New York. Such a little snitch. I don't understand that girl. Next, we see back at the club, Bishop is finalizing his meeting with the city inspector, and in pops Rochelle. She is very sarcastically taunting Bishop on the fact that Tara has shared their plans on building a new church there. In fact, it was kind of eerie because she knew every move on down to the fine details on everything they've been doing. She starts taunting him on the fact that they are about to be tossed out of their church, evicted from their house, and now they're forced to open up a church in a raggedy old bar. She then tells him to beware and that until he admits his role in her father's death, everything he does is gonna fail. Bishop tells her, "You're sick." Rochelle then stands there with this blank look on her face, and Bishop is like, "What?" She then tells him, Basie should have killed you when he had the chance. And she sashays her little tail right on out the door. Now back at the hospital, we see Gigi and Noah, and they're kind of talking about the ledger that had all the information in it, that the groundskeeper or caregiver or whatever he was to the lady Miss Davis had wrote. And they're just kind of chatting as they're waiting for AJ to finish up his appointment. And Gigi's still struggling with the fact that AJ is more open to Noah and not to her. Like, Noah actually convinced him to come on back and have the appointment, get on his meds and stuff like that. But she's not taking into consideration that Bishop offering him that car also played a factor, but I digress. Noah also tells Gigi that he's found a place for him and AJ, and that if her parents do, for whatever reason, end up losing the house, that she's always welcome. She always has a place there. Next, we see Kerissa and Jacob approach Zora about her plans to run off to New York. Now, she's already fully aware that Sophia snitched her out. Jacob tries to negotiate with her about staying and allowing some time for them to kind of all talk and sort through some things. You know what I mean? And she kind of agrees. They kind of negotiate some stuff about her staying with a cousin or whatever in New York and, postponing her ticket and stuff like that. So they're trying to work through this. Now, back at the house, Bishop comes in fuming hot about his visit from Rochelle. Lady Mae is still not convinced that they shouldn't give up the house. And Bishop is just questioning some things like, and so is Lady Mae. They're like, why would Miss Loretta Davis, a daughter of the Confederates, a white woman, leave the house to them, or to even Mr. James for that matter? Jacob walks in and interrupts them to tell them that Kerissa and Winky are going to be leaving soon for her parents' house, and he basically asks them to join him in, making them feel like things are kind of somewhat normal by sending them off. At that moment, Lady Mae, with her hypocritical self, decides to tell him, next time marry someone you love and be faithful. When he walks out, Bishop is looking at her like she got two heads. He rips her a new one. He tells her to keep her holy admonitions to herself, as good as she's been living a lie for the past 40 years and is still living it. He walks out, leaving her to sit there and stew in her mess. Next, we see Judy and Phil at the church, and they're going through Corinne's files, and in walks Charity with Phil's dad. Now, of course, Judy's stupid self hops up off the floor and was like, "Who is this, your boyfriend?" Next, we see back at the house, Jacob and Kerissa are finalizing the details with, her and Winky moving back to her parents. And she's still kind of like packing some last minute bags, and she's still very hurt. She sits down beside Jacob and she tears up, but she shares that, you can have shared custody. So she does agree to give him shared custody after all. Now, back at the church, Phil is not here for it. He is not trying to hear it. He actually attempts to call the police. And baby, Charity snatches the phone and tosses it. And Yusef Shabazz tries to explain to Phil how his mom was used by the Whitmores. And Phil tells his dad he never wants to see his face again, which clearly hurt him deeply. Judy's dumb self was in the background saying stupid stuff like, "This is all from Satan, Daddy," as if Daddy loves black people, which is the equivalent of saying, "I have a ton of black friends." I mean, it was just ridiculous. Now, back at the house, everyone is outside seeing Kerissa and Winky off as they leave, to go to the parents' house. Charity rolls up. And just as Charity rolls up, Lady Mae announces that she has something to say. And Bishop tries to stop her, but she says, "No one is going to beat me with this stick of mine." And she blurts out very nonchalantly, "Grace is the product of an affair between Lionel Jeffries and myself. Grace has known it for a while, and so has your father. The only other person to know is Aaron, of course." Just as nonchalantly, drops that bomb on them, and then she says dinner will be served at 7:30 p.m. And she turns and she walks in the house, leaving them out there in a whirlwind of confusion. Next, we see Charity, Gigi, and Jacob sitting around getting lit. Can you blame them? They're all sitting out there talking and tripping off the whole fact that Mama done, pulled this gangster move and had them in the dark on this whole thing. And then because they're loaded and drinking and stuff, they start teasing Gigi about her light skin. As they're out there chilling, drinking and whatnot, Gigi's phone rings again. It's Darius. He calls and tells Gigi one of the names that Shabazz gave us panned out. We found one. Next, we see Zora come in and check Sophia right quick. She tells her that, she went and she told Gigi about her pics. And Sophia's like, "Really?" And she was like, "Well, I guess that's fair." She's like, "Yeah, I told her about your pictures and the fact that you're not planning on returning to school. See, you're not the only one that feels so inclined to spread business to adults." Next, we see Gigi arrive at Darius's home and she's knocking on the door. There's no answer. She then attempts to call him. Still no answer. As she's standing there leaving him a voicemail, an SUV approaches. And a white man, and I'm not sure if that's Bob Whitmore's son, the son-in-law, but I know he's somehow connected to H&H. I just don't know who he is. But an unknown white man approaches and calls her by name. He tries to take her by the arm and says he'll take her to him. Well, of course, Gigi ain't going for that. She yanks away and was like, "Don't touch me. Where's Darius at?" And he tells her, "Listen, no one cares about journalists." and no one likes a squeaky wheel. He then turns and walks away. And in true Greenleaf fashion, y'all, this is where the episode ends. A total nail biter, y'all. Oh my God. And this is the second to the last episode. Oh my God. So, I mean, I don't know if the next episode is going to be a 2-hour episode or what, but y'all drop down in the comments. Let me know what you thought. Have you all been following the story? Did I get everything? Did I leave anything out? Drop down in the comments and let me know. Let me know. Until next time, guys, I'm Pandi of Pandi's Hair, Candy, and More. Thank you so much for taking a moment to click on this video. And don't forget to blow dry on that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I will see you all in the next video. Bye now.